It is Friday, May 29th, 2020. Good morning. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. Welcome to Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel and the one who saved our souls. This week we've been looking at the subject of theology and spiritual growth, and really with a challenge of theology itself. When we engage the God of the Scriptures, we can't help growing theologically. Even though it is often, well, to be honest, we don't like doing it because it is uncomfortable a lot of times. I was using Romans chapter 9, verses 22 through 24 as an example because it is such a challenging verse, and it's not challenging because it's hard to understand. It's challenging because it's clear. That's the challenge a lot of times, because we have to then go back to other clear verses and go, how do we take these 2 points of view and reconcile them scripturally? And that becomes, the depth of spiritual growth. And you have to watch it, though. Again, I mentioned this in one of the other episodes. There's patience. You have to exert patience with yourself in coming to terms with these things. Once you come to terms with these things, you have to exert patience towards others who may never see the things the way you see them. Can you sit with that? Can you be patient with that? Because these are rich things, but we're growing spiritually on different levels, not just knowledge in our knowledge. In terms of what we're knowledgeable of from the Scriptures. But sometimes we have a knowledge that, we have a knowledge, but it has to be processed emotionally too. And then it has to be processed in how we live it out. So there's all these different things. And all those different things, our understanding, our knowledge of the passage, our understanding of the passage, how it plays on us emotionally, how we live it out, all plays a part in where we actually land or don't land sometimes, right? I mean, how many people have said, and I've said this before, I can't accept that. What have I said that toward? Scriptures that spoke plainly to me about something. And I would say, to give ourselves patience and to give patience to others, I think a good rule is to remember when you first came to Christ. Can you remember any misconceptions you had about God? I mean, you can certainly talk about misconceptions you had about the gospel, right? Most of us had this misconception. God saves good people and he sends bad people to hell. I mean, I would venture to say most of us on the most rudimentary level had that misconception of God, right? That's just, right? That's just. If you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to the bad place. And so clearly, when we came into Scriptures, didn't you struggle with some of those Scriptures? Scriptures that talked about being saved by grace alone, didn't you struggle through some of those Scriptures? Well, here's the thing, is that throughout our Christian lives, those struggles with certain aspects of Scripture play out the same way. We come to them with objections. We come to them because we had preconceived notions. We come to them because we think things should work differently. We come to them with many different things that color how we actually see Scripture sometimes. But there's nothing to be threatened of there. God's certainly not threatened with any of that, because he deals with people in different cultures all the time throughout history. And he brings them to the place he wants them to be in relationship with him. So with that being said, again, we've been in Romans chapter 9, verse 22. What if God, desiring to show his wrath to make known his power, has endured with much patience vessels of wrath prepared for destruction? And I think this is the troubling. It becomes clear. These are vessels of wrath, human beings, who are in rebellion against God, and they're prepared for destruction. In order, now why? Why? In order, a little phrase like in order lets us know this is why. In order to make known the riches of his glory for vessels of mercy, which he prepared beforehand for glory. And then he clarifies even us whom he has called, not from the Jews only, but also from the Gentiles. So this is a struggle. And I hate to end Friday with this struggle for you, so maybe we'll pick it up Monday here. But this is a struggle because, as I mentioned before, the struggle with this is not so much in understanding it, it's in processing it emotionally and then reconciling it with other verses we're familiar with, other verses we've clung to because of what it's told us about God. Again, all of a sudden we're going, how can God who loves the world, God who loves everyone, how can Romans present me with this? How can this be? That's the whole thing about spiritual growth. Is there a place where we'll get to where all of a sudden this is glorious to us in our view of God rather than, oh no, and this is the emotional part of processing something, oh no, this isn't who I thought God was. Do you see why it becomes so frightening? But that is spiritual growth. And there's a richness in it because we are in a relationship with an infinite God who created all things. Won't there be some shocks along the way? Now, what has God said to you today, and what are you going to do about it?